Shout out to Nate Friedman for making a great half-hour video on the dynamics of all these protesters being paid, being at the same protest nationwide, um, and the main purpose mainly being confusion, fuzzy signal. Like I keep saying, it's all about just getting us to argue about the same silly things instead of actually talking about what's going to make a difference, make the country and the world a better place.
Woman. This is her protesting JP Morgan, funded by a campaign called 350 PDX's Defund and Divest team. This is her on Capitol Hill blocking senators. So she travels for her job as a professional protester. And this is her participating in an If Not Now, a progressive Jewish organization supporting Ilhan Omar. Yet this is her on a website for a Lutheran church. Could it be that she's pretending to be Jewish? Yes, just like the people who occupied Trump Tower pretended to be Jewish. These people are being paid, and I'm going to continue to expose that throughout the video. Welcome back to the Nate Friedman Show.
I'm just asking a question about like what people are doing out here.
Huh? Consider him like right wing, like anti everything we're doing.
Oh,
All right, so we'll skip through some of this, but basically, you know, anyone who, and I've seen this over and over and over again, almost anyone you talk to has no idea what they're upset about or doesn't have any substance to what they want to say. And the paid people that we know are paid at least $200 a day are interrupting interviews, holding signs. They don't want conversation. So obviously that's part of the agenda. Now, this guy here is obviously upset. He's confused. Like he is engaging. He's trying to be respectful and have this conversation. He's frustrated with where things are at. I think he's a little misguided because I don't think he's really educated himself. But at least he's willing to talk, and that's the point. Is we have to talk to educate each other and make progress on what needs to change.
Directly affect policy?
yeah.
Probably not.
Okay.
It's a sort of it's a soft, indirect sort of thing.
So you're hoping that it pressures them to doing something?
No.
Oh yeah, all throughout the protest, I'd have fans like this.
So he gets into just talking about like we didn't elect Elon Musk. The thing that's so ironic about that is I don't think most people realize the reason why our country is so screwed up is we have people that not only are elected, no one knows their name. They're stealing our tax coffers blind, increasing our taxes for all this money going overseas, encouraging people that are literally our enemies. I mean, it's obviously a misguided argument, 1,000%.
If you're wondering who the guy is signaling for help and talking very negatively about my channel in the background, he's another professional protester. Here's him freaking out at Grand Central Station, here's him calling to vaccinate the world, and here's him supporting I don't even know what. You know the worst part about this guy? He could be teaching your child. That's right, he's a professor of health sciences at Touro University in New York.
And I hope Churro
Child.
University is going to, reprimand this guy. I mean, so as we trace the money back, you obviously have paid protesters, you have ringleaders. Hopefully, they're saying some of these ringleaders for the protests that are violent are going to get in trouble. But it's all going to lead back to these NGOs, these nonprofits, these professors, these people who think they're so smart, collecting multi-$100,000 salaries and then getting tax money and then taking that tax money to mess up our country and donate it back to the Democrats. I'm sure there's some donating back to Republicans as well. But as far as I've seen, it's the vast majority of money going back to the left.
That's right. He's a professor of health sciences.
Yeah, so I wanted to point this picture out, like an assistant professor, like I mean, whatever, Touro University. Just we've got to start calling these people out. And what are you? Are you actually trying to teach and help people? Or are you just trying to drive division and arguments and make sure that no one actually makes progress? It's just this constant pause of society and people arguing over nothing.
At Touro University in New York. Maine, Illinois, Colorado all tried to remove him. It didn't work because Trump wasn't convicted of insurrection under the 14th Amendment, and the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that states do not have the authority to remove Trump off the ballot.
So Nate does a good job kind of going through the history of what's happened recently. And the whole insurrection argument was fascinating because at the time, I think myself, everybody was hyped up, like, what is going on? And then as time went on, it was clearly a setup to be another political event that everyone felt like was unacceptable and needed to be interrupted, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then we kind of jump into more on did the did Trump win because of Elon Musk, or was it a huge contributor? And I would say everyone who, especially those who voted for Trump who never voted before, the main reason they voted was because of Musk and because of trying to stop the government waste.
A new department to put Fauci in charge of it. They created a new department that doesn't really have any. No one knows what their agenda really is.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. We feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
One thing that Musk is very good at, if you followed him over the years, he's very good at telling everybody what the mission is, what the goal is, what they're trying to accomplish, and then revisiting over time where they're at achieving the goal. And then obviously, we're going to get into here. I think he talks about they're at 140 billion at this time.
Seem to understand how government works.
All right, so he says USAID is important. Let's go over some of their past work. $10 million to voluntary male circumcision in Mozambique and $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces. Tax.
Well, and if you guys haven't noticed, Musk is officially no longer being interviewed, no longer the public face of the Department of Government Efficiency. Musk admitted early on that what they found was so bad that he knew everyone, if they revealed it all, everyone would be killed. Also known as, a lot of this money, USAID included. A lot of this stuff where it says, money going to, millions of dollars for condoms or whatever. It's just like in the Reagan days, a $400 hammer, a $5,000 toilet. It is money going to entities like the CIA or any other entities in the government that are black budget. They are influencing the world in a way that is not to the purview of any oversight. So that's what's really going on here. Can we still cut back? Hopefully, yes. Um, but it can only go so far. They're not going to stop all of the waste immediately. It has to be a slow, peel back. You can't destroy the whole system and hope that it's going to work out well, type of thing.
I'm pretty sure the former president and now current president has a pretty good understanding of how the government works. You can criticize how he's doing it, but not knowing how it works is, I don't know about that. And Elon is sending rockets into space and landing them back down. I'm going to go ahead and assume that the DMV is a little less complicated than that.
I would like someone to come in and cut government waste in an intelligent way.
Well, what is
Again, just not even watching the news, not even learning. And if you guys don't know who Antonio Gracias is, I believe the new face of Doge, he is. On paper, he looks like everyone else. He's an angel investor, investor in technology. But when he made his mark, he took manufacturing places that were stagnant or zombie companies or failing, and he turned them around by changing efficiencies, resolving problems. He is Antonio Gracias. Assuming Doge becomes the thing that can be self-sufficient, when he steps away, he is a great advocate for making the U.S. a manufacturing powerhouse once again.
What is he doing that's unintelligent?
$80 million over budget on their HR software. $280 million over budget. Another recent one was $380,000 a month was going to minor website modifications at Veterans Affairs.
You guys, all these companies, this company that was charging $400,000 a month to work on, it's just stealing. It is what it is. It's the person receiving the money is stealing. I'm sure they're giving a kickback to whoever authorized that contract. And that's the problem. That's why there was record lawyers, record money leaving the US when Trump came into power, because everyone in DC is worried the next 4 years, especially if the Republicans continue the next 8 to 12 years, that the FBI is going to come knocking. They're going to get arrested for stealing. I mean, it's just totally out of control, and it's been that way for at least probably 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, since Nixon. I mean, basically anything, if you really dig deep into the history, all of this stuff, I mean, everything kind of goes back to Nixon. I mean, Nixon is probably going to be remembered as one of the worst, most corrupt politicians, presidents of all time. Nixon was on the coattails of, uh, was it Eisenhower? And I think Eisenhower was a good president, but Nixon just totally opened the coffers of the taxpayer to the good old boys, and here we are.
That job is now being done by someone working 10 hours a week. He also said Doge's approach isn't effective. Well, they've already saved $140 billion. I'd say that's not bad for 3 months of work.
Well, do you want billions of dollars going overseas towards transgender awareness?
See when shit.
So here's another really good point he made. That's why I fast forward here, just so you guys can get to the point. But yeah, I mean, I think people who are wanting to know what's going on in the country know it's on an edge. So it's not that Trump is the greatest thing ever. It's just what the other side was doing was basically driving our country to a third world country, to stagflation, to total collapse.
Shit is hitting the fan, and fucking do something about it.
People like to blame tribalism when in reality Trump would have never won if millions of Americans that voted for Obama would then vote for Trump. This isn't about tribalism, it's about common sense. I spoke to hundreds of voters on the street before the election, and just about every time someone was voting for Trump, they mentioned his policies. And every time someone was voting for Kamala, they mentioned how much they hate Trump. If anything, tribalism comes from the side that's paying for protesters. So I had to ask him this question.
So can you say something about these signs that they're carrying around me? Like, do you think that this is an effective thing to do? Like, do you think that this is a good thing to do?
No, I don't. No, and you know what I think is really stupid? Use of the term Nazi. I mean,
Guys, I need to find the video. I think it was a year or two ago. The Nazi thing is purposeful because what they're trying to do, there's literally an NGO that is basically, or not basically, it's run by, all the employees are women. It's a feminist entity, and they have said in interviews they want incels to be declared a terrorist group. They want young white males to be considered a terrorist group, so they can moderate and tear down a lot of this type of media. They don't want all these channels with men talking about how feminism is destroying the country. They don't want they don't want a debate. They want women to be able to control the debate. They do not want men to be able um, to continue to argue. I mean, it's just the whole Nazi thing is totally on purpose, and it fits into the narrative of, well, fascism is worse than socialism, which it's not. I mean, they're both horrible, but if you look at history, I don't think there's any argument whatsoever. Communism, socialism has killed more people on the planet than any other form of government. That's it, period. There is no other way to argue it. And that's why they keep hitting on this Nazi thing over and over and over and over and over again. And hopefully people will start to see through it and see what the point of it is.
come on. Talk about fucking stupid messaging. Let's use the term Nazi. Like, that's not specific. Of course it's fucking specific. It's so easy to cut that down. Look, I see a lot of this shit and I'm like, man, you people don't know the point you're trying to make, or you're trying to make a point and you're really fucking it up.
So this guy is like an hour or two of research to realizing that he's he's going the right direction. He just doesn't know the information of how the money's flowing, what's happening. That maybe he'll never support Trump, but Musk never was really a Trump supporter. Musk just realized the end of the U.S. was coming if we didn't stop what was happening with Biden with Kamala with this whole idea of shipping in anyone they can to try to swing the vote and make the whole country, like California, a permanent blue socialist bag of goo that would tear down the country.
You're really failing yourself and you're failing your point. I've met my friend here. I walked up and I was like, really? A sign that says Nazi over and over and over again?
That right there is the look of a 21% approval rating for Democrats. Even the people showing up to their protests don't approve of the messaging. Elon isn't a Nazi to anyone who has an internet connection. Here's Elon visiting Israel after October 7th. Weird thing for a Nazi to do. Here's him wearing a hostage chain saying, "Bring them home." However, when you see companies like the Indivisible Project paying people $200 to protest, you start to see that the only way you can be dumb enough to call Elon a Nazi is if you're being paid to.
And so I think we'll end the video. I tell everyone that wants to talk about politics and wants to try to, write the path of the debate. Anyone who's saying Nazi, you just need to be like, no, like you're making an argument. Nazi is the bottom line is anyone who's saying Nazi is they're making an argument for socialism. That's it, period. And that is wrong. That is evil, and it has to stop. You're just trying to get people pissed off instead of actually talking about the point. So anyone who's saying Nazi is supporting socialism. That's it, period.